It's a bright summer morning in Oahu, Hawaii's third largest island. Tucked away on a cul-de-sac in a residential neighborhood, a two-man team from Vivint Solar works quickly to install a 2.7 kilowatt solar PV system. What's unique about this installation is that it's not unique at all. 3 houses next door are all hosting solar systems, a sign of the boom for the industry in Hawaii.
This is a great place for solar. The price of power is extremely expensive. People pay more on average here than anywhere else in the United States. These customers now, yesterday were paying 35 cents per kilowatt hour, and today they have a PV system on their roof that for the next 20 years is going to ensure them a lower price of power. Vivint
is one of Hawaii's largest residential installers and will likely put up about 10 megawatts of systems in 2013. And with a little help from Enphase microinverters, they can do it fast.
It was roughly a 2.7 kilowatt system, 11 panels. We just blast through that. We were able to do the installation on just over an hour probably, which is usually common for 10, 11 panels.
This scene is playing out in neighborhoods and on buildings all throughout Hawaii. A 35% state tax credit and extremely high electricity prices due to the need to import oil for generating power mean PV systems can get paid back within 2 to 4 years. According to GTM Research, installations here grew by 170% last year, from 40 megawatts in 2011 to 108 megawatts in 2012. With tens of thousands of systems going up each year around Hawaii, a firm like Enphase is deploying hundreds of thousands of microinverters as well. The company is approaching 25,000 installations in Hawaii by working with leading installers.
The desire to keep the money here and not pay for imported oil, the desire to create local jobs, which by definition solar does, because a big part of solar is the installation piece, broad community support, broad policy support. So there's no surprise that you're seeing such explosive growth in solar demand here in Hawaii.
If you come to new neighborhoods, like this one under development in Ava Beach, microinverters and solar panels are as much a part of the construction landscape as windows and siding. All of these homes are constructed ready for solar PV and solar hot water. Bonterra Solar has partnered with a major housing developer to put 1 kilowatt PV starter kits on every house.
You know, I think people are very aware, especially over the last couple of years, because they've seen a lot of their neighbors or somebody on their block go PV, and also they've seen their electric bills grow significantly over the last couple of years. They've gone up about 30% over the last couple of years. When it really hits your pocketbook, you start to look at what your options are. The reason Bonterra has embraced the Enphase microinverter technology is because, for one, the monitoring is unparalleled. Enphase has great monitoring.
That monitoring will soon be put to good use here at the Sacred Hearts Academy, an all-girls school in Honolulu. After getting fed up with paying $350,000 a year for electricity, administrators approved a 270 kilowatt PV system to help offset their enormous utility bills.
When the system is up and running, that we can actually monitor parts of it online. And then that would be a golden opportunity for the girls to really get involved, in the content of it as it goes into operation.
The system at Sacred Hearts Academy features over 1,000 Enphase microinverters. For the system integrator, Hawaiian Energy Systems, which has used nothing but microinverters since 2008, there were a few reasons for moving away from a central inverter.
The project was kind of unique because we had to install solar on 5 different buildings. We had to kind of step back from the design based on some of the criteria. One of them was safety at the school. It was very, very important for us to not have large equipment on the ground. One of the other key designs was rust. We're in Hawaii. We're in an atmosphere where different conditions within the weather.
Recognizing the strong growth potential of Hawaii early on, Enphase targeted key installers and built its product with island conditions in mind. Those elements have made microinverters a dominant force here in the Hawaiian market.
The product is built and designed for Hawaii. High salt content environment, which is highly corrosive. So you get a product that's highly ruggedized, high reliability. You get a product that produces more energy.
And there's still a lot of market to capture. GTM Research predicts that Hawaii will install nearly 300 megawatts of solar PV in 2016. That means projects like this 163 kilowatt system, developed on a church near Honolulu by Hawaii Energy Connection, are becoming a lot more plentiful. As one of Hawaii's biggest installers, Hawaii Energy Connection is poised to install up to 14 megawatts of projects in 2013, almost all using Enphase microinverters.
Solar's had a massive impact on Hawaii's economy over the last few years. Just in the specific jobs related to the industry in Hawaii, you've had an industry that went from, in Honolulu, we had about 20 contractors in the industry about 5 years ago, and now we have nearly 300 contractors in the industry just 5 years later. You try to find another industry that's seen that kind of growth, you're going to be hard-pressed to do so. And that's just on the island of Oahu. That doesn't incorporate the other islands outside of it.
The booming Hawaiian market has fostered the growth of hundreds of local businesses across the islands. And that's bringing new employment opportunities for installers like Vivint's Matt Pan, who graduated with a degree in sustainability and was able to find a local job in solar that he's passionate about. Alternate Energy, another leading residential installer, is a good illustration of that growth.
2011, we had maybe 20 employees. Since then, we've grown to 85, 90 employees, contracting, all different tradespeople. The solar contractors is playing a big role in Hawaii's economy right now, especially since the building industry is doing, a little slower.
We've really developed a great industry, created a lot of jobs, in a time where people need jobs and need work. It's created a lot of business here locally in Hawaii, so much so that companies from the mainland are also coming and creating jobs.
And as growth continues, the industry is starting to shake things up.
For the first time ever in Hawaiian Electric's history, they went to fire up a generator, and there literally wasn't enough load on the grid for them to fire it up to full capacity. He said this is the first time that's ever happened, and that's huge. That actually means that there's enough PV solar going up that we're having a real significant measurable effect on burning fossil fuels and generating electricity in old ways.
There were 14,000 residential systems installed in Hawaii last year alone. But for companies like Enphase with such a big presence here, it's not what has already been installed in the state that's so compelling. The real story is about the vast amount of solar PV to come.
And today, while there's been explosive growth here in Hawaii, there's still a long ways to go. Roughly every 8th or 10th house has PV on its roof. There's a lot more solar thermal actually that's visible. So we have a lot of work still to do in getting to a point where the 350,000 single-family dwellings here in Hawaii actually have solar on them. So yes, while I'm excited to see every 10th home roughly having solar here, I'm more excited about the opportunity that Hawaii presents.